Farmers Insurance, and the return of Brooks Koepka. And it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And it's such a big deal that I've brought on Alan Shipnick, who you've written 10 books. You've been published by everywhere that matters. You are connected as much as anybody. I've just got to ask you, Alan, 5 years ago, is this the way you imagined things going? 4 years ago, when LIV first started, we first started hearing rumblings about LIV, did you see it being in this position now?
Well, as I've said a few times before, LIV Golf has been a gift from the content gods. I mean, none of us could have predicted the roller coaster ride we've been on for 4 years. And of course, Brooks's re-entry to the PGA Tour is just the latest twist and turn. I mean, poor Scotty Scheffler's making his debut, this week in the desert, but he's only one of the greatest players of all time on a generational run, and all we're talking about is Brooks. Like, that's how LIV Golf can just blot out the sun, and not really for competitive reasons per se, but just everything else, all the juice, all the angst, all the gossip, all the speculation. It's just been an incredible generator of content. And so, no, I mean, you could never predict everything that's gotten to this moment, but I think it was predictable that some players are going to have buyer's remorse. And although the reality is Brooks has kind of played this whole situation beautifully. He got the 9-figure advance. He won a bunch of tournaments on LIV Golf worth $4 million for each of those victories. He hung on to his Nike deal. He got new sponsors along the way, and now he's being allowed to return. All he has to do is pay a $5 million fine to charity, which is just a tax deduction, and he doesn't get FedEx Cup money this year. Big whoopee! The purses have more than doubled since he left. I mean, Brooks comes out smelling like a rose. So, he was playing 4D chess, and a lot of these guys are playing checkers. So. It's been a fascinating saga, and this is just another twist.
I'm glad you said the 4D chess. I'm very glad, because here we go, and I make sure I get this correctly. Now we're getting news that Patrick Reed also wants to return. He's floating out the idea, of PGA Tour's awesome, but he can't, because one of those stipulations that you mentioned is that it's anybody, and correct me if I'm wrong, Alan, anybody that's won a major since 2022. And Patrick Reed, last only major, 2018 Masters.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that sends a kind of obvious message to me, considering that Tiger Woods had a hand in assembling this reacclimation program, or however you want to frame it, given that Phil Mickelson's last major was 2021. Now, I'm not going to come out and say it, but maybe somebody with
I will.
There we go.
I mean, it's a giant middle finger from Tiger to Phil. There's no doubt. And the whole tour firmament, that now you could say, well, LIV Golf started in 2022. That's why they chose it. That makes a certain amount of intellectual sense. But the fact is, the tour is just making the stuff on the fly. This whole thing's getting done willy-nilly. They could have done whatever they wanted. They certainly could have said 2021 to grandfather Phil in, but they didn't want to. The key thing is Brooks, he didn't sue the tour. He didn't participate in those lawsuits. He pretty much kept his mouth shut. He just took the money, and he didn't create a lot of ruckus. That's certainly not that's not true of Phil. It's not true of Patrick Reed. Some of these other folks. So there's a lot of revenge. And you mentioned Tiger. I mean, he's become a very important player behind the scenes for the tour. He chairs this future competitions committee, which had to sign off on all of this. And so, this is just the latest development in this, Cold War that's gone on for more than 3 decades between Tiger and Phil. And I mean, I respect the pettiness by Tiger. It's actually quite delicious. So, it's kind of, as the kids say, FAFO. I mean, Phil farted around, and now he's finding out. When you create that much mess, you're not necessarily going to get welcome back. And I think DJ could have come back. That they would have, if he had signaled he wanted it. They might have found a way to grandfather him somehow. Because again, no one was really mad at DJ, but the Phils, the Taylor Gooches, the Ian Poulters, those guys talked so much trash, and they were so problematic. The tour will do everything they can to keep them out. even as a swing door open for other players.
Do you feel that Phil has almost been martyred in all this, though, because he was the loudest voice initially, and you had that fantastic book that really started laying everything out a few years ago. But it seems to me that there's a lot of guys on tour now. The tour's been reconstructed. We have the signature events now, massive purses, this, that, and the other. And it all goes back to Phil basically nailing himself to a cross. Would you say that's a safe assessment? And that's how he views himself?
That's how he views himself. I'm not sure the rest of us are ready to put him in the pantheon with Jesus Christ as far as martyrs go. But, you know, on the merits, Phil was right about a lot of things. I mean, his two big talking points to me in the book that kind of blew the lid off this and ever since is that the players needed to have more say in their governance, and they needed to be paid more of what their market worth was. And both those things have happened. I mean, the tour has completely blown itself up structurally and put the players in charge. And everyone in golf is making a lot more money than they certainly deserve based on, you know, if you look at, I mean, Rory McIlroy actually said this a couple of years ago. Like, we have guys who are getting paid like NFL quarterbacks, but we attract, you know, 1/50th of the audience. Like, it doesn't, you can make the case that pro golfers are now the most overrated athletes on the entire planet based on the eyeballs they produce and the energy they create on social and a lot of different metrics. But, you know, Phil was vindicated in the changes that have followed on the PGA Tour. But the duplicity he showed in helping LIV Golf get established behind the scenes, and the way he was working both sides of the street, and just his personal manner, nobody really wants to give him the credit he probably deserves because of just Phil's ego and all the stuff that comes with it. So I don't know if he'll ever be properly celebrated like, you know, Curt Flood was in baseball. I mean, that Phil wanted to be a similar agent of change. You know, Curt Flood ushered in free agency, changed sports. I think Phil wanted to be thought of in the same sentence, but people don't want to give him that credit, even though he arguably has earned it.
You know, we could play Freud here on this. You're going down a really interesting rabbit hole now, that if that was really Phil's desire, that was one of his goals. Again, that goes back to his rivalry with Tiger, one of the most influential athletes we've ever seen, athletically, culturally, you name it. And this was Phil's opportunity to be an agent of change, but he couldn't, you know, he doesn't get the credit for it.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and that's also one of the reasons why I think, I mean, the offer has to be good enough, but I think Bryson's more likely to stay than to leave LIV Golf, because like Phil, he wants to be this contrarian. He doesn't want to be following in Brooks's shadow and getting Brooks's sloppy seconds. Like, you know, they have their own little rivalry. And I think, and Phil's been a mentor to Bryson, and being an iconoclast is very important to their self-identity for both of them. And so even if Phil was given a pathway back to the tour, I don't think he would take it, because that would be some sort of admission of defeat. And, you know, Bryson may ultimately come to the same conclusion. So, you know, I think Rahm would like to get back for competitive reasons. Cam Smith has already said he's not interested. So even with these pathways they've created, they got Brooks. Whether they'll get Rahm, or if the financial price is too high, we'll see. But guys may stay on LIV for very selfish and idiosyncratic reasons.
You know, it's almost a shame, and that I'm going to put a pin in this, because I would have tuned in for a Champions Tour with Tiger and Phil.
Of course,
I would have run that back and checked that out. Alan, before I let you go, and this has been a fantastic conversation, I hope we can do it again sometime. I've got to ask you about your upcoming book, though. Rory drops April 7th, and you know, I was at Augusta last year. What I saw was incredible theater. And I came away thinking this, does he have the wherewithal now to be great again? Because I can't imagine how exhausting it was for him to have these goals, the winning the Masters, but larger than that, the career Grand Slam, the only European to do it. How that must have just grated on him and wore him down. And also the LIV thing. I mean, he aged like a U.S. president during the LIV PGA Tour battle. And my column coming out of that was, we're either going to see what unchecked greatness can really accomplish when there are no more burdens, because he did everything he was expected to do, as opposed to Tiger, who we never really saw fully formed. Or will Rory say, I don't have it in me anymore. I can't. I don't want to go through that hell again. What was your biggest takeaway researching this book?
Yeah. Well, we certainly had that swoon post Augusta for a few months where he was in this weird headspace and he was kind of grumpy and it seemed like he mailed it into the PGA and at the US Open. But, the Irish Open brought him back. That was one of the, probably the greatest performances of the year, eagling the 72nd hole, winning his national Open for the first time in 9 years. And the emotion that poured out of him, and then he just rode that wave into Bethpage, where he was a towering figure, and of course then he won the race to Dubai. And so the back half of his season was tremendous. And this is a nugget from the book. How deep is Rory's ambition, and what is he really chasing? And so Padraig Harrington, who was at Rory's wedding, said, on Rory's wedding night, after he had a few glasses of wine, Padraig asked him, what is his real dream? What's the number of major championships he wants? And Rory said 9. And, that's the deep down thing. And that would probably make him, when you run all the other numbers, one of the top 5 greatest golfers of all time. He would zoom past Arnold Palmer and Sam Snead and Tom Watson and Gary Player. And when you add up the success he's had on both sides of the Atlantic, he's won Race to Dubai 6 times. He's won 3 FedEx Cups. He's won Players Championships. He's got the career grand stuff. If he picks off 4 more majors, he goes down as on the Mount Rushmore of golfers all time. And so now he's got to get there. It's a steep climb, but like you said, the burden's been mostly lifted. He's playing with house money. I think. And he just played great in season opener in Dubai. I think there's a lot of big victories in front of Rory McIlroy, and I think he's not done putting his stamp on the game. So he's still trying his hardest. He's still doing everything he can in the gym and with his swing and with his business life. To keep that, it was very successful and profitable, but it's contained, and golf remains his number one focus. And so, the last year and a half, he had to play this whole marital drama.
Yeah.
Separated, all the stuff that came with that. Him and his wife appear to have never been more solid than they are now. And he's got the green jacket. They can never take that away from him. So I think we're going to see an incredible burst from Rory here in the next 5 years, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Alan, it's been a fantastic conversation. I don't know if you had Phil being compared to Jesus on your bingo card when you woke up this morning, but you go ahead and cross that one off, brother.
Yeah, more like Judas, right? I'm not a biblical historian, but I think that might be a better comparison.
I think it's more like that movie Holy Moses, where Dudley Moore thought he was the chosen. Anyway, Alan, I appreciate your time, man, and this connection.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure. Take care, Scott.
All righty, it's Alan Shipnuck. PGA Tour returning to action this week. They're in Torrey Pines for the Farmers Insurance Open. And any other planet, any other sport, the big story would be Scotty Scheffler just continuing to do otherworldly things. But instead, the big story is the prodigal son returning to the PGA Tour, Brooks Koepka. And Brooks met with the media on Tuesday, about 25 minutes, almost 30 minutes. I had some takeaways, but my opinion doesn't count as that of our guest. It's our friend Rex Hoggard of the Golf Channel. And Rex, you were on site for Brooks's press conference, his welcome back press conference. I actually heard you ask a couple of questions. Good on you. What was your biggest takeaway from everything he said?
That he was contrite. And we all know the background. And for those who don't, Brooks Koepka in 2022 decided to go to LIV Golf. He spent 3.5 seasons over there, and with that came a penalty. And the players who left the PGA Tour to go over there, they knew all along that it was It's not going to be a warm welcome back if and when they did want to come back to the PGA Tour. And in Brooks's case, it is a bit of a warm welcome. Don't get me wrong. He's just waltzing back with his cake and eating it too, as a lot of people want to say. It's going to have a financial impact right off the top. He had to make $1 million donation to a charity from his pocket. He can't get any FedEx Cup bonus this year. He doesn't get any player equity. All told, it could cost him $50 million deciding to come back. And that's not even counting what he's going to lose from his contract. He got out of his last year in his contract with LIV Golf in 2026. So it's going to have an impact on him. And I will say, as a product, Brooks Koepka returning to the PGA Tour is good for the product. He is one of the most popular players in the game. He's a 5-time major winner. When he shows up, people pay attention. This week being a perfect example. ESPN has not broadcast a regular PGA Tour event, non-major, regular PGA Tour event in almost 2 decades on linear TV. They're doing it this year on Thursday and Friday because only Brooks is in the field. So you see the impact right off the top. And I will say the one thing that stood out from the press conference going in, the one thing I felt like Brooks needed to accomplish was he needed to be a little contrite. He needed to just put it out there for the world. Look, I made this decision. It wasn't best for me. I wanted to come back. I got my hand slapped, and I'm happy to be back. And that's exactly what he did. And that was a little amazing to me because you spend enough time around Brooks. Contrite's not in his wheelhouse. That wasn't a tool in the bag. Of his 14 clubs, that wasn't one of them. So that's probably the part that impressed me the most.
And yet he still said he regrets nothing he's ever done. He made that loud and clear. He literally said those words at one point. But
that was my question. That was my question.
That was your question. That was your question. I'm stopping short of saying he was humble, but I do think he's contrite. And we don't know everybody's backstory. We don't. But we know a few things have happened in Brooks's personal life that has given him an epiphany or an awakening or this new direction. What can you tell us, though, that brought us to this point? I believe he had an issue with maybe his wife had an issue, something of that nature. Obviously, that had a huge impact on him. Is there anything else?
Well, and this goes to the question that I asked. I did not ask him if he had any regrets. I don't think that would have been a fair question. I asked him if I could teleport you back to 2022, would you make any different decisions? And he was really quick hitting me with, I don't have any regrets, which shows you, even though he was contrite, the Brooks DNA is still on the inside. He is still one of the guys on tour who likes to walk around with his chest out. That's his MO. I'm not even saying that as a bad way. Like, he loves to prove to the world that I am a self-made wolf and everyone else is sheep. And he did it really well for the better part of a decade. I will say he made it clear, and like this is him walking a very fine line and doing it well, that this was about what was best for him and his family. This didn't necessarily, he didn't make it professional. He didn't make it personal, at least towards LIV Golf, and he was given a couple opportunities to do that. He just said at this point in his life, it would be better for him to be on the PGA Tour. And he did allude to a lot of things going on in his personal life that impacted this decision. Along those lines, I found it fascinating that the conversation with Brooks and his family started in September. And the very first phone call he made wasn't to Brian Rowlett, the CEO of the PGA Tour, wasn't to Jay Monahan, the commissioner of the PGA Tour. It was to Tiger Woods. Of course it would be to Tiger Woods.
Yeah, we know who pulls the strings, who's making it happen. And that's why they have the 4-year window for having won a major in order to be reinstated instead of a 5-year window. And we've discussed that on this little podcast many times. Rex, I'm wondering this. You're out on the tour. You're dealing with these guys on a week-to-week basis. What are they saying on the range? And you don't have to necessarily name names, but what is the consensus among the rank and file golfers about allowing a Brooks Koepka to come back and creating portals for the likes of Jon Rahm, Cam Smith, Bryson DeChambeau?
I made you wait. Apologies for making you wait so long. Because I was trying to wait out a player that's in the field this week. It's Lonto. Good player, won on the PGA Tour before, didn't exactly have the best status coming into this year, and wanted to play this event. Because of this policy, this very narrow, very limited policy the PGA Tour created, just not for Brooks Koepka, but you mentioned the 3 other players on LIV. It's Cam Smith, it's Bryson DeChambeau, and Jon Rahm. Because they were worried about the impact they could have on fields, instead of taking a spot for someone in the field here, let's say, at the Farmers Insurance Open, if they playing the first 2 rounds in threesomes, the tour essentially expanded the field by 3. So not only did no one lose a spot in the field, 2 players were added to the field. And one of those players was Lonto Griffin. And it was a fascinating conversation with him because he was actually on the pack, not last year, but the year before. And he told me that these conversations started about the midsummer time, where if a player wants to come back from LIV to the PGA Tour, what would it look like? And this was one of the safeguards that they built in. And because of the safeguards and because of how the word I used was savvy with this policy and what Brian Rollup and the PGA Tour were able to do, by and large, I can't find anybody on that range behind me that'll tell me that it was a bad move, at least when it comes to Brooks. Now, I've had some other conversations the last 24 hours on Patrick Reed potentially coming back. That's a whole different scenario, and he's not in the conversation. But when it comes to Brooks as a singular event, I think you saw the video. One of them gave him a hug on the neck when they saw each other. I think by and large, the players on tour realize that he's good for the product. And if it's good for the product, that means it's good for everybody.
Well, and it's not Brooks Koepka per se. It's the spot that he would occupy. And as long as there are more spots, these guys are good to go. All they want is an opportunity to go out and take on the course themselves. They're not playing Brooks Koepka. They're playing Torrey Pines. They're playing La Quinta. They're playing Harbor Town. So it's not the player per se, even though it makes it exponentially more difficult when you have quality players in the field. But it all comes down to them performing more than anything else. Rex, just a couple more minutes, please. What will be Brooks Koepka's biggest challenge when it comes to getting reacclimated to the PGA Tour? I know he's played in majors since going off the LIV, but he's not played in a regular tour event since 2022. What's he going to have to adjust to? What has changed over that time that he's going to have to adapt?
I thought it was fascinating today. Brooks talked about he needed to address three constituencies, essentially, this week. And that sound you hear is the sound of freedom. That's an F-18. Fighter jet going over your head. You've been here at Torrey Pines before. You've heard it. There was three constituencies that he needed to address this week. One was the media. He did that Tuesday, as we say in professional football all the time, that the coach won the press conference. I think it's fair to say Brooks won the press conference today. But he said he was nervous. He said he'll be nervous on Thursday. He doesn't know what the fan reaction is going to be from him. I think it was a good move on his part, starting his comeback here instead of next week in Phoenix, because we all know that's a tough crowd, man. You do not want to show up with giving them some ammunition. And then the final group of folks is the PGA Tour players themselves. He knows he's got some fences to mend. And it was interesting. He was nervous talking to the media. He's nervous about what Thursday might be like with the fans. But when we asked him about talking with the players about maybe some things he could have done differently, he said he's looking forward to those conversations. So I think he's done a good job of figuring out the pathway back for him personally, how he can make this work. The challenging part is going to be playing good golf. That's going to be the ultimate litmus test here. And he did not play good golf last year on LIV. It was very mediocre. He has to find a way to be something close to the version of Brooks that left the PGA Tour in 2022 while maintaining, and I said, this is going to be easy for him, but some level of being contrite.
Rex, I'm not going to keep you. There are 100 different topics I'd like to discuss with you. I'm not going to do it. I'm sure you have a massage or something you have to get to. But my last question, who are your picks for this week? Who are you feeling good about? Give me a name we know, maybe a name we don't.
Well, Scotty Scheffler would be at the top of my list. Oh, sorry. Scotty's not in the field. I'm totally kidding. That was totally a joke. I know he's not in the field. I think there's a couple names that are standing out to me. One player I just saw, he was getting a lunch. Will Zalatoris is a fascinating case study for me. If you go back to last week, I think we did a good job on Golf Channel of sort of breaking down how different his swing is now versus this most recent back surgery that he went through. We all know the talent he has, but with the swing that he had and the big reverse C and all the pressure he was putting on his back, it was going to really limit his career. He's done a really good job of finding a different way to swing that's going to save his back. I'm really curious to see how that would play out, really not just this week, over the next couple of weeks, but probably the name that I think would stand out to me is Xander Schauffele. I mean, this is a hometown event for him. We all know the tree that he sat in when Tiger Woods won the 2008 U.S. Open here at Torrey Pines. He was just a kid, and I think that would mean the world to him. And I think Xander's due for a bounce back here.
All right. He is Rex Hoggard of the Golf Channel, off doing Rex Hoggard things. Rex, appreciate your time.
And there he is. Yes, of course, Rex Hoggard, one of the senior writers for the Golf Channel and long-time veteran sports writer. Love his thoughts. Appreciate him, and also Alan Shipnuck coming on the Scott Hamilton show on FanStream Sports. Happy that we can share that with you guys here on From the Rough. Scott's going to be bringing us a lot of content that we will be sharing with you from his show, and then he will be also coming on our show to help host and do some segments with me and Johnny a little bit, as he will be inside the ropes at some of our tournaments that we will be covering for you this year. Let's take a quick break right here on FanStream Sports. Come back on the other side, talk about some of the other players who are at Torrey Pines for the Farmers Insurance Open, not named Brooks Koepka. Talk about some of the players, some of the odds, how the course is filling out this week. And then also we'll get into some LPGA and some Korn Ferry as well. You heard both Rex Hoggard and Alan Shipnuck mention Patrick Reed. We've had some news since those interviews were recorded, as Patrick Reed also returning to the PGA Tour in a much more complicated fashion than Brooks Koepka. But we'll talk about it on the other side. We are From the Rough right here on FanStream Sports, brought to you as always by Orion Golf at oriongolf.com. They're the masters of golf facilities management. If you need help with, I don't know, if you run a could be a golf course, it could be a muni, it could be a country club, it might even be just a driving range. Anything golf related, they can help you with so many factors of your business. They can help you with your staffing, with your events, with your facilities management. They can help you with your F&B, all of it. They can help you at Orion Golf, oriongolf.com. Let them know Tim and Johnny at From the Rough sent you. Back on the other side with more Farmers Insurance Open preview.
Hi, golfers. IndyCarTim here. I want to talk to you a little bit about Golf Central Magazine. It's not just a golf magazine. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Head over to golfcentralmag.com and check out the latest issue. Some of the regular features in Golf Central Magazine: the Golf Bachelorette of the Month, the Golf Bachelor of the Month, the Golf Cart Girl of the Month, Golf History, Grip It and Sip It. So head over to golfcentralmag.com. It's free. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Golf Central Magazine at golfcentralmag.com. We'll see you there.
Sports fans, it's time to gear up. Head to fanstreamsports.com and check out our brand new merchandise store. We're talking bold t-shirts, 3/4 zips, hoodies, hats, mugs, and more. Everything you need to rep your favorite shows and your favorite crew. Whether you're rolling with the J.P. Peterson Show in Tampa Bay, From the Rough in Dallas, the Tim May Show featuring Clay Hall, or the Jeff Thidoff Show in Ohio, or any of our FanStream Sports original programming, we've got the perfect look for game day and every day. So don't wait. fanstreamsports.com. Click merch and grab your gear now. Wear the stream, live the stream, fanstreamsports.com.
Hey folks, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center, a very different kind of approach to primary care. Personalized preventative medicine, not a one-pill-fits-all mentality. Christopher Lugo and his experienced medical staff are proactive in looking at issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Rather than the impersonal, rushed approach, you will be the only patient and will have our full attention. That's new. Getting old is inevitable, but feeling and looking old is avoidable. Bay Area Modern Medical Centers are experts in anti-aging regenerative medicine that optimizes your body's performance in many areas. So call for an appointment to get started on a journey back to full health and a happy life with a new, modern way of healthcare. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Today's show is brought to you by Tomstown, a premier craft distillery based in Kansas City, Missouri. Discover their award-winning lineup, including double oaked bourbon, botanical gin, and double grain vodka, named the best craft vodka by the readers of USA Today. Available for online delivery in 40 states. Visit toms-town.com or their Kansas City distillery to explore more. Elevate your game with Tomstown, where history meets innovation. Please enjoy responsibly. Orion Golf Management Solutions. Orion Management Solutions has tailored its service packages just like it tailors its approach to customers. Some owners need more supervision, while others need periodic assessment of their short-term and long-term strategies and programs. Orion can be called in to develop a business plan with the existing staff, or we can assist with the daily management of a facility or event. Either way, we make sure the client is satisfied and understands the direction the facility needs to go in order to achieve the owner's goals. Orion Management Solutions can help with owner assistance service solutions, daily course management, business plan development, monthly operations, or as-needed consulting services. Whatever your need, Orion Golf Management Solutions can help. Check out oriongolf.com.
Let's go. right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
Welcome back to From the Rough right here on FanStream Sports. I am IndyCarTim. Johnny Gerber is on golf assignment this week as he is at maybe the worst assignment he has ever received, as he is every year. He's there every year this time of the year. Out at Pebble Beach, helping organize / get ready for what's headed out there, especially what's going on there this week, as, of course, they've got, tournaments happening. But he will be back with us possibly on Monday. He's supposed to be flying back out on Monday, so we'll see how that works out for him. But by the time he's back here on next week's preview show, we should have plenty of Pebble Beach stories from Johnny Gerber and his time that he spent out there this week. Let's get back into the 2026 Farmers Insurance Open preview, as, of course, we've spent a lot of time talking about Brooks Koepka. He, of course, not the only person playing out there. While he, of course, starts to ease back into a normal playing schedule, you've got guys like Xander Schauffele, Cameron Young. They're making their season debut this week as well. Of course, they went in opposite directions in 2025. Schauffele missed being included in the Tour Championship for the first time in his career, and Young nabbed his first career victory at the Wyndham Championship. Both players, of course, starring on the U.S. Ryder Cup team, and hope to roll their momentum into a new year alongside the reigning champion, Harris English, as well as U.S. Ryder Cup captain Keegan Bradley, teammate J.J. Spawn, plus Euros like Justin Rose, Ludwig Oberg, and, of course, the Sony Open. I think it's the word Sony and the word Open next to each other. I can't say Sony Open. I don't know why. It happens every single time. But, of course, Chris Gotterup also here this week. It is the 2026 Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey Pines in San Diego, California. The very stable par 72. It will be playing 7,765 yards on the William Bell course with a purse of $9.6 million. Let's talk about the odds now via DraftKings with your favorite Xander Schauffele. Again, as he is making his debut this week at 15-1. By the way, we will have Johnny's winning picks for you, his winners, his ham sandwich, his top 10s and top 20s. If you're looking for those earlier than the show, we, of course, publish that at fanstreamsports.com and then all across our social media channels in article form. You got to go click on the article and look inside to see, read our little betting preview as well as Johnny's picks. That usually comes out at some point on Wednesday before lunchtime. So make sure you're following From the Rough on social media, on Facebook, and that's at From the Rough PGA on X, as well as me at IndyCarTim, and then Johnny at J Gerber PGA Pro. We've got all of that out this morning for you. Before we get into our show here, every preview every Wednesday, 5 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Eastern. Ludwig Oberg, second here at 17-1. Of course, he acquitted himself nicely at Torrey Pines last year after he led the Farmers Insurance Open for most of the tournament before he got sick over the weekend. He exacted revenge a couple of weeks later when he won the Genesis Invitational on the same course as we dealt with those wildfires out in California. They had to move some things around. Oberg was forced to withdraw from the American Express last week because he got sick again, but it appears he is up to the challenge to return to competitive golf at a course where he knows his game will translate. Cameron Young, 18-1. A lot of people are expecting a big year from Young, but outside of a run at the Genesis a handful of seasons back, the West Coast swing has never been very nice to Cameron. He comes into this year as a PGA Tour winner, a Ryder Cup darling, and off the best putting season of his career. He's back to hitting his comfortable shot shape and has the power to play well at Torrey Pines, which features some of the thickest rough and thinnest fairways players will face all season. At 23-1, Patrick Cantlay, followed by Siwoo Kim at 24-1. Kim may be the best ball striker here in the world, much less that the players here, not named Scotty Scheffler, the 54-hole leader at the Amex. He fell flat in the middle of his round, was ultimately upended by Scotty. there at the American Express last week, but still the result counted for a second straight quality outing to open up his campaign. He will look to move his game to a bigger, brawnier test. That is Torrey Pines. He has 2 top 25 finishes in his last 3 appearances, but has not finished inside the top 10 in 8 career starts. J.J. Spawn, the aforementioned J.J. Spawn, 25-1. Chris Gotterup, winner already this year, 29-1. He continues to show us that when the wind starts blowing, he's got the creativity to still shape shots, and he can stand tall. Gotterup claimed the 3rd win of his PGA Tour career in as many seasons at the Sony Open. Got it right that time. And he should be licking his lips at trying his hand at Torrey Pines, where he finished inside the top 25 during his only trip here before. He's in possession of plenty of power and finesse, and he has the goods to keep the momentum rolling on the mainland. At 29-1, Hideki Matsuyama, he's made 9 straight cuts at Torrey Pines and arrives off a T13 at the Sony Open, where he sizzled with his iron play and struggled with his putter. It's a very typical Hideki Matsuyama game. Putting from inside 15 feet and inside 5 feet are among the most difficult on the tour this week, so that could level the playing field ever so slightly and play into Hideki's hands. His iron play remains elite, and scramblers have fared well at this tournament, which is another feather in Matsuyama's cap. Rounding out your odds this week, Maverick McNeely, Jason Day, Harris English, all at 31-1. As I mentioned, we will have Johnny's picks for the Farmers Insurance Open towards the end of the show for you. Want to transition now into some more, another guy that was mentioned here with Rex Hoggard and Alan Shipnuck, with Patrick Reed being set to make his return to the PGA Tour in 2027. As he is aiming for reinstatement, he has left LIV Golf. His contract expired with LIV at the end of 2025. And on Wednesday, Reed and the tour announced that he has applied for reinstatement as a tour member for the 2027 season. He will compete in the DP World Tour in 2026 as an honorary lifetime member and become eligible, it's easy for me to say, to play in PGA Tour events as a non-member beginning August 25th of this year. It would be 1 year since he last participated in a LIV Golf event. That would clear him to play the FedEx Cup Fall in 2026 through sponsors' invitations or Monday qualifiers if he decides that he would like to do that. He's got 9 PGA Tour titles, including the 2018 Masters. He'll have past champion status on the PGA Tour in 2027. Now, he's going to seek to improve that status and climb the PGA Tour's priority rankings through his performance in the DP World Tour, where he recently won the Hero Dubai Desert Classic to kick off the season a couple of weeks ago. The top 10 finishers in the DP World Tour's Race to Dubai standings who don't already have PGA Tour status gain membership for the following season. And we have a quote from Reed. I'll go ahead and read you his statement from Wednesday that he posted on social media about why he decided to return to the PGA Tour. And it goes like this, quote, "After careful thought and consideration, my family and I have decided that I will no longer compete on the LIV Golf Tour. I am excited to announce that I am returning to the PGA Tour as a past champion member for the 2027 season and am eligible to begin competing in PGA Tour events later this year. I will continue to compete and play as an honorary lifetime member on the DP World Tour, which is something I am truly honored and excited to do. I'm a traditionalist at heart, and I was born to play on the PGA Tour, which is where my story began with my wife, Justine. I'm very fortunate for the opportunities that have come my way and grateful for the life we have created. I'm moving forward in my career, and I look forward to competing on the PGA Tour and DP World Tour. I can't wait to get back out there and revisit some of the best places on earth." End quote. So Reed will join Brooks Koepka as the second player to leave LIV Golf and return to the PGA Tour. However, it's a bit different for Patrick Reed because he is not offered the same quick path back to playing that Koepka was granted under the unique setup of that returning members program. Koepka made his PGA Tour return this week at the Farmers Insurance Open after being fast-tracked back by the Tour, but Reed did not meet the same criteria for Koepka as a recent major champion. Remember the criteria for that returning member program, you had to be a major winner since 2022. Reed, of course, has not won a major since 2018. However, the PGA Tour did note that Reed's reinstatement for 2027 is allowed because he resigned his membership in 2022 prior to leaving for LIV Golf. Therefore, he did not violate any PGA Tour regulations. He will remain ineligible for participation in the player equity program through 2030 as part of the conditions of his return, much like Koepka. So we will, I guess, however you feel about Patrick Reed, we'll be monitoring his play overseas in the DP World Tour. And, of course, part of From the Rough's expanded coverage for 2026, we will be making notes and covering the DP World Tour throughout this season, along with our expanded coverage of the Champions Tour, the Korn Ferry Tour, and, of course, the LPGA. So you'll probably be hearing some Patrick Reed coverage to follow up how he's doing over there before, he didn't say, although he'll be eligible in August to play some tour events, he did not say that he would. So, we don't know. I'm sure he'll make an announcement the closer we get to August. Maybe he'll participate in that FedEx Cup Fall as he will be eligible to do so. Or we may not see him until the 2027 season. We'll just see how things go with Patrick. All right, let's transition a little bit, boys and girls, into the Korn Ferry as the Panama Championship is upon us. It's the third event of the 25-event schedule and the first of 5 events to be contested in Latin America. This marks the 22nd playing of the Panama Championship, with the Club de Golf de Panama, I'm sure I butchered the accent on that, having hosted every iteration of the event since its inaugural playing in 2004. This year's field includes 15 PGA Tour winners with 30 total victories, led by 5-time winner Jonathan Byrd. Additionally, the field features 61 Korn Ferry Tour winners, including past champions Josh Dieter, Carson Young, with 91 career victories, led by Ben Coles and Robbie Shelton with 4 wins each. 4 players in the field stand inside the top 200 of the official World Golf Ranking. Taylor Dixon, Young, Taylor Montgomery, Johnny's favorite player, and Beren Botha are all in the field this week. Panamanians Luca Gonzalez and Juan Pablo Mata will represent their home country this week as sponsor exemptions. Mata is a 26-year-old amateur. He's making his first career start on the PGA Tour sanctioned event. Both Mata and Gonzalez finished T31 at the Latin America Amateur Championship in Lima, Peru earlier this month. Last season, Teeter captured his second career Korn Ferry Tour victory at the 2025 The Panama Championship, claiming a 2-stroke victory over a trio of runners-up. Teeter carded a 5-under 65 in the final round to overcome a 6-stroke deficit to 54-hole leader Kiefer. Some notes on the field here for the Korn Ferry Tour this week. Ian Holt captured his first career Korn Ferry victory in his most recent start at the Bahamas Great Abaco Classic. At the Abaco Club, Holt stands atop the 2026 Korn Ferry Tour points list off the strength of that victory and a T22 finish at the season opening the Bahamas Golf Classic at Atlantis Paradise Island. Seems like the Korn Ferry is a very scenic tour, is what I'm hearing here. Holt finished number 42 on the 2025 Korn Ferry Tour points list and previously earned Korn Ferry Tour membership with a number 10 finish on the 2024 PGA Tour America's points list. Defending champion Josh Teeter is one of 2 past champions in the week's field. Teeter's victory last season marked the second of his career on the Korn Ferry Tour, his first since the 2009 Utah Championship, and propelled him to a number 25 finish on the 2025 Korn Ferry points list. Top 20 earned PGA Tour membership. So lots of diversity here, lots of talent at the Korn Ferry this week. None maybe more so than a guy we've already watched this year in 18-year-old Blades Brown. Blades Brown, of course, finished T18 as a sponsor exemption last week at the American Express, which marked his best finish in 10 career starts on the PGA Tour. Brown set the tournament 18-hole scoring record at the Nicklaus Tournament course with a second round 12 under 60 becoming the youngest player in tour history to card a round of 60 or better, and shared the 36-hole lead with world number one Scotty Scheffler. Maxwell Moldovan, who finished number 20 in the 2024 PGA Tour University ranking, will make his second career Korn Ferry Tour start. He holds conditional membership for 2026. He earned a spot in this week's field with his top 5 finish from the 2025 PGA Tour Americas Segment 1, highlighted by his first career victory at the 70th ECP Brazil Open. It's going to be a fun. If you guys don't, normally follow the Korn Ferry Tour, look, these guys are up and comers. As I just pointed out, there's a lot of PGA Tour veterans playing here that are trying to either reestablish status or get their way back into PGA Tour tournaments. These guys are good. And if you're not one of those guys, you are one of these young up and comers who are trying to get playing time to get their way into the PGA Tour, maybe for the first time. So, a lot of people out there complaining, well, we don't have stars on the tour anymore because of that LIV Golf and they're all split. This is where your featured stars are coming from, boys and girls. And this is where you want to start paying attention and put some of your golf. Look, and if you don't want to watch the tournament, I get, time constraints. We don't have a lot of time. Follow up with it online. Follow up with us and listen to the podcast. Watch the video on our YouTube channel, or just, the podcast goes out wherever you get your podcast, or at fanstreamsports.com. We will help you follow along with some of these guys. So these are names that you will recognize in the future on the PGA Tour. So let's transition once again to our really the first time this year we're talking about it, because they're just now kicking off their season. The LPGA at the 2026 Hilton Grand Vacations Tournament of Champions, as the LPGA Tour kicks off a brand new season with one of the most exciting and unique events on the schedule. The season opener features winners from the past 2 years, along with celebrities from stage, screen, and on the field. This year, Lim Kim is returning to defend her title, having won in 2025. With a thrilling closing stretch that saw her rattle off 3 birdies and 4 holes to win by 2 strokes over Nelly Korda. Here's a look at what else you need to know about the tour's return to action at Lake Nona Golf and Country Club just outside of Orlando, Florida. So who qualifies for this thing? Again, it's a very unique format. But each season, the Hilton Grand Vacation Tournament Champions welcomes winners from the past 2 seasons on the LPGA Tour. There were a remarkable 29 different champions collecting titles in 2025. What's the format? It's a 72-hole stroke play event that counts as an official victory on the LPGA Tour. It is a no-cut event. It features a purse of $2.1 million and will see LPGA Tour members compete right alongside celebrities who will then square off in their own competition using a modified Stableford format for a $500,000 purse. So yeah, it's a little bit different. And look, I've been saying for a long time on the show here, I miss those alternate scoring tournaments, right? And I've pointed out the old Stableford, the modified Stableford format. I would love to see that back on the PGA Tour at some point. We've got it to kick off the LPGA Tour to begin their 2026 season. I think it's going to be just an incredible view. If you guys follow along with that, again, we will be following the LPGA Tour as part of our expanded coverage for 2026. Johnny insisted on it. No, he did not actually. Actually, I did. And I can't wait to get into this season. Some of the local tournaments in the North Texas, Oklahoma area, we will be trying to for all of the tours, not just the LPGA. We will be trying to make ourselves available, at least one or maybe both of us, or with help from Scott Hamilton, attend some of these tournaments to bring you guys some coverage from inside the ropes. Of course, the Champions Tour off. They will return February 13th at the Chubb Classic at Tiburon Golf Club in Naples, Florida. So it is time for us to get into Johnny's winning picks for you guys as we wrap the show up here on a preview Wednesday. I guess we got to do Johnny's open. Even though he's not here, he's going to insist on his stupid open for Johnny's winning picks. for the 2026 Farmers Insurance Open. I will not be able to give you all of these rundowns like Johnny would for sure. And I'm even going to go backwards for the benefit of those listening to the recorded podcast. Johnny usually goes forward, starting with the winners. I'm going to start with his top 20. As Johnny has in his 2 top 20s this week at plus 225, Will Zalatoris. We heard Rex Hoggard mention Will Zalatoris in his little preview and players that he expects to do well. Johnny agrees. At plus 225, a lot of value there for Will in the top 20. Alongside Michael Thorbjornsen. Michael Thorbjornsen at plus 200 for Johnny's top 20. In the top 10, a couple of familiar names if you follow Johnny's cards. Jake Knapp with some incredible value because Johnny will tell you these things are about value. Johnny does not bet on the favorites. You might win, but you're not going to make any money. Johnny looks for value. Jake Knapp at plus 400 for a top 10 is tremendous value, as is Jason Day in the top 10 at plus 355. Hope you're booking these bets because these are incredible. Again, you want value? Johnny's ham sandwich is what he calls his long shot, and I'm still trying to get him to change that to bologna because I think bologna sandwiches are worse than ham sandwiches. Johnny thinks ham sandwiches are for poor people. That's why he calls his long shots that. I eat ham sandwiches every day. That's my absolute favorite lunch meat. And I actually like bologna too. So I really don't know. Maybe we need to go with like olive loaf or something for the long shot. I don't know. Johnny has Sammy Valimaki at 150 to 1. Again, tremendous value for his long shot, his ham sandwich. And then finally, boys and girls, your winners. We are going with, drum roll, please. Taylor Pendrith, 36 to 1. Hideki Matsuyama, another familiar name on Johnny's cards, at 30 to 1. And one of the lowest odds picks I will ever see Johnny pick. He doesn't normally go this low, again, for the value, but Johnny really likes Cam Young at 20 to 1. So again, your winners, 20 to 1, Cam Young, Hideki Matsuyama, 30 to 1, Taylor Pendrith, 36 to 1. Your ham sandwich winner, Sammy Valimaki at 150 to 1. Your top 10s, Jason Day plus 355, Jake Knapp at plus 400. And your top 20, Michael Thorbjornsen at plus 200, Will Zalatoris at plus 225. Those are Johnny's winning picks for the 2026 Farmers Insurance Open. Look, I appreciate you guys sitting with me here for the past hour or so as we preview all of these things. It's a lot of information to try to get into cover by myself when Johnny's here. Obviously, we go into a lot more depth. I'm able to concentrate on certain aspects of certain tournaments and certain people. It's a lot of information here across 3, sometimes 4 tours to do the entire preview by myself. I really appreciate you guys sitting with, through all of this with me here. Again, we may do the solo show on Monday, whereas Johnny may have a video of his recapping his picks here for the week, or he may be able to come on the show. Just not sure with his travel getting out of Pebble Beach. He's supposed to fly back on Monday, so we'll see how that works out. Either way, I will be here with our recap Monday, 5 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Eastern, right here on FanStream Sports. Once again, boys and girls, I'm IndyCarTim. It is From the Rough on FanStreamSports.com. Make sure you head to FanStreamSports.com. Check out our merch store, by the way. Get you some of these great T-shirts, some of our hats. We've got the great 20-ounce tumblers. Hold everything cold for you all day long. Take it with you on the golf course. Ceramic coffee mugs, lanyards. We've got the 3/4 zips. It's still cold out there. Get you some 3/4 zips. We've got the thin hoodies as well. All golfers like to wear all of these things. We've got them there for you. Special thanks once again to our sponsor, Orion Golf, OrionGolf.com. Golf facilities management at its best. Let them know that Tim and Johnny from FanStream Sports and From the Rough sent you. And we'll be back on Monday. I'm Tim. Until next time, boys and girls, y'all keep hitting them straight.